Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about anger and how anger can be an ally in relationships. Because especially if you're one of those people that gets easily lost in the other. If you're one of those people that is always afraid of relating, of connecting with other people because you get lost or you take rash decisions in the moment that you regret afterwards. You feel pushed into making rash decisions. And every time, for example, you get out of the relationship, you feel tired. It, because the fatigue and all that means that you're on high alert. It means that you can't fully connect to the other person because you're afraid of them. You don't feel safe in that moment. And so if you are one of those people, anger can be an incredible ally for you, is an incredible ally. So let me start by explaining to you what anger is, and then afterwards I'll show you through a story how anger helped me in one of my interactions and relationships. So first of all, when you think about anger, look at it as the guardian of your boundaries. It's the guardian of what defines you, of who you are, of your temporal self, right? And so each time there is an invader, an intruder, somebody that penetrates your boundaries, when there is a violation, automatically your anger will react. And it's like a dog, like a guard dog. It will start, growling, at the intruder. It will, gnash its teeth at it. And the whole idea is that it's not really attacking the person. It's not attacking what is in front of it. It's keeping your boundaries safe from the violation. And I'll explain this afterwards through the story. But the other part that I want to add is that many times we're afraid of connecting with our anger because, number one, we've been taught that anger is bad. And, a few people told us so, we believed it, and now, we believe that anger is bad, and we teach others that anger is bad. And so we don't connect with it, we separate from it. And because we separate from it, all the anger that comes in, imagine that dog that comes and growls, and every time that your dog is growling, you take it and you put it in the basement. And every time you do that, you put it in the basement. What is going to happen is that you will have one resentful dog. It will get even much more violent. But it's not violent because it's naturally violent. It's violent because it has been repressed, right? And that's a difference. And that's why many times I always tell people, I do it myself, where I tell people to work with their anger and really consciously bring it out and express it so that that old anger can come out and you can clear it out. And then once you've cleared it out, once you've listened to all those old angers, what will happen is that you will have that emotion will come to you. It will tell you there's a violation happening. You will listen to it. You understand what it's telling you, and based on that, once you start taking the necessary steps so that violation is not there anymore, the anger goes away. So it comes, it goes, it comes, it goes. That's how it is. And it doesn't stay long. I mean, it stays a few seconds, depending if you listen to it. If you don't listen to it, and if you find yourself with anger that, is always there, there's a lot of it, well, it's old anger that needs to be cleared up. And there's a lot of, and when you clear it up, it's not only about clearing it up. It's like you will find so many gems that it was trying to give to you and you didn't see because you didn't understand it, right? You didn't understand the benefit or why that energy exists in your life. So let me go to the story. So one day I remember I was talking to a friend of mine and we were supposed to have a meeting the next day. And we were on the phone and we were organizing the meeting. And I remember that she was talking and I was listening. And as she was talking, I was getting angrier and angrier. And I couldn't understand why. So let me explain what was really happening. She was talking about the meeting and she was saying things like, let's meet tomorrow at 8 so that you can sleep longer. Let's meet in this town because it's closer to yours. Let's do this because it's better for you. So at first glance, you would say, oh my God, she's thinking about me, right? She's taking into account my needs and my wants. So I should be happy. And that's the rational part of me thinking that way. And if I base it on that, I'll just stay on the superficial level and I won't go deeper, right? But at the same time, as I was saying that, I felt that I was angry. That I was getting angrier and angrier, and I didn't understand why that was happening. And the first reaction that I had at that time was, oh my God, she's being nice. I rationalized it. She's hyper-rationalized it, let me say it that way. She's being nice. I am feeling angry, so I'm a bad person, right? So because I'm a bad person, let me repress that anger. Let me not listen to myself. Let me not trust myself. And let me be even nicer. Let me over-earn her, her relationship, her friendship, because I'm being so bad, right? So I tried to be nicer, to smile and to say, yes, you're right. And, I went on. And this happened for a few seconds. And this was happening again because when we think about anger, automatically it's like, I'm being a bad person, so I need to do something about this. Or I'll start blaming the other person. But then at some point I remembered, because I was already at that point working with my anger, I remember that anger is something else, that I need to listen to it because it's part of me. It came up in the present moment. And maybe it has something to tell me, and let me just listen. It's not deciding what I have to do. I am the captain of my life. It's telling me something, and it's up to me to see whether I want to accept it. I want to base my decisions on that. So I took a deep breath in, and I went into my body. Because if you want to listen to your emotions, feelings, then you have to go into your body because that's how they talk. They talk to you through the sensations in your body. And as I went into my body, I started feeling this dominant energy around my throat. And I felt that my throat was being restricted. And when I went into it, I understood what was really happening. It just opened up. It clarified itself. And I'm telling you this because if you listen to your sensations, if you are with your sensations, you will start understanding. It will get easier and easier to understand what they're actually telling you. Because they will not tell it to you in English, of course, right? So it will be easier to understand those non-verbal cues. And what I understood in that moment was that I was I felt restricted in my throat. So the truth that was inside of me, inside my heart, couldn't pass through my throat into my mouth and be expressed to her. It just wasn't going through. I was being silent. And I had gone into the child archetype. And I saw her as the mother, and suddenly I was, in my mind, I was listening to her and saying, oh my God, she's thinking about me. She's doing everything for me. She's being so nice. And so I should just be silent, listen, and take, and just meekly accept. And the child archetype, the shadow child archetype, is about responsibility. I had taken everything, my needs, my want, everything, and I had put it in her hands. I had taken my power and put it in her hands. And I was like, okay, you know better. I wasn't thinking for myself. And what she had done was she had penetrated my boundaries, and that's why the anger came up, because there was a boundary penetration. She penetrated my boundary. She came and she started thinking not about me, but for me. She was telling me what was good for me, what wasn't good for me. And at first glance, it felt like she was nice. But even her, what she was doing was that she wasn't thinking for herself. She wasn't telling me about her boundaries, what she wanted. But she was thinking for me. And not only, how did she know what I wanted? How could she have known if she wasn't even asking me any questions and I wasn't giving her any information, right? So do you see the imbalance that was happening? She wasn't thinking for herself either, by the way. She was thinking for me. I mean, many women do that, where everyone is like thinking for the other and nobody's thinking for themselves. And everybody's taking responsibility, like being responsible for other people's lives, but no one is taking responsibility for their own lives. And then we go, as women into martyrdom. And that was what was happening, where she did not take responsibility for her needs and wants. I wasn't. There was a relationship of unequals. It wasn't a partnership. And my anger was alerting me to the fact that I needed to stand by myself, that there was a violation, and that I wasn't telling the truth. I wasn't standing by my truth. I wasn't being clear about it. I wasn't being an adult. And this is one of the ways also of codependency and all that. I'm not going to go into that, but when I realized what was happening, it was so easy for me to course correct. I didn't have to shout. I didn't have to do anything, because the moment I listened, I took in the information and I started taking steps towards correcting it, the anger went away. And I understood myself. I understood her. It's not like she was doing that because she was mean. It was her strategy, her coping mechanism. And mine was a different one, but it was still a coping mechanism, right? And we were being in an interaction based on that, because we didn't feel safe to be together. I didn't feel safe to open up to her. She didn't feel safe to open up to me. And through that interaction, through that anger, what anger told me, I course corrected. I course corrected the whole relationship, because it wasn't the first time this was happening. And I started very naturally telling what I want, being very clear, this is my responsibility. I am my responsibility. My needs, my wants are my responsibility. I will I need to be clear about them, put them on the table, and I want you to do the same thing. You be responsible for yourself. I don't want to think for you. And you bring it on the table, and then as partners, we can put it together and get to the most optimal solution, and a solution that is the best for both of us. And if that is not possible, because sometimes it isn't, then maybe we realize that we're not compatible, or there's certain parts in us that are not compatible. And that's also a great realization, because we become more discerning in our relationships. And so anger is an incredible ally. Once you listen to it, you understand it, you can really be open with other people. You don't need to be on high alert at all times, be afraid of getting lost in the other, because that part will alert you to any violation. And once it alerts you to the violation, you will take naturally the necessary steps and create incredible conscious relationships. And not only, it will make you, it's an incredible feeling to know that there is a part of you standing for you, and that you can rely upon it in a very specific way, right? So I hope I was clear. If you have any questions, any comments, please let me know down below. Ciao, ciao.